So let's talk about mission agencies. Do they actually have a basis in the Bible? You might be quick to say no, but what if I told you there's a blueprint, and it's been hiding in plain sight in the New Testament this whole time? Yeah, for centuries. Let's dig in. So, to find this blueprint, we gotta go back to basics. Ask ourselves, how was the early church even organized? Like, when you picture religious life back in Jesus' day, what's the first place, the first building that pops into your head? I'm guessing for most of us, it's the synagogue, right? And that makes total sense. It's all over the New Testament. It was the hub, the center of everything, where you gathered, you learned, you worshiped. The whole community was built around it. All right, so let's start right there with the structure we all know and recognize. It's kind of the first big piece of this whole puzzle. Think of the synagogue as that stable local hub. And here's a great way to picture it. A lighthouse. Just this fixed, steady beacon of light, drawing people in, teaching them, a constant presence in the community. Its whole job was to gather everyone, old, young, men, women, all into one place. But here's the thing. The synagogue, that lighthouse, that's only half the story. There was another structure just as important working right alongside it, and it's the one that's been hiding in plain sight all this time. And this second structure has a name, a hevra. So what is a hevra? Well, think of it like a brotherhood, a group of guys who voluntarily banded together for a specific mission. They weren't about a building, they were about a shared calling to get out there and actually do something, to make a difference in the world. So you can immediately see the difference, right? If the synagogue is the stable lighthouse that gathers, the hevra is mobile. It's like the flint. Its job isn't to gather people in, it's to go out, to travel into the dark and start new fires. You've got the lighthouse and the flint, two totally different but complementary structures working for the same mission. And get this wasn't some rare, obscure thing. Once you know what to look for, you see them all over the New Testament. The Pharisees? Yep, Hevra. The Zealots? Them too. The Essenes, John the Baptist's disciples, all of them were different kinds of Hevras. See, back then, if you saw a group of guys traveling with a leader on a mission, you wouldn't be confused. You'd know exactly what it was. You'd think, oh, look, there goes a rabbi with his Hevra. And that, of course, brings us to the most famous example of all. Because once you have this lens, you realize Jesus and his disciples, they were operating in the exact same way. Now, let's be super clear. Jesus was definitely involved in the synagogue. I mean, Luke's gospel says it was his custom to go. He absolutely used the lighthouse. He taught there. He read scripture there. It was a crucial part of his ministry. But, and this is the key, he didn't only use the synagogue. He also formed his own Hevra with his 12 disciples. This was his mobile mission band, and it was designed specifically to take the message where the lighthouses couldn't reach, places like Tyre and Sidon in Samaria, where there were no synagogues. You see, he used both. Okay, now for what might be the most surprising example, but it's also a key blueprint for what comes next. Let's talk about the Pharisees. And I don't mean just as the bad guys in the story. I mean as a highly effective, mission-focused Havra. I mean, just think about what Jesus says about them. He says they travel over land and sea to make a single convert. He's literally describing a mobile, driven, mission-oriented group. That is a Hevra in action, plain and simple. And they had a whole strategy, a playbook. Step 1, form a mobile team. Step 2, go to a local synagogue and ask to speak. Step 3, invite anyone who's interested to a special meal where they could explain their way of thinking in more detail. And finally, step 4, invite them to join their Hevra. Now, just think about a really sharp Pharisee named Saul. He would have known this playbook by heart. Okay, so let's pull all these threads together. You've got these two clear Jewish prototypes, the synagogue and the Hevra. And what we see is the very first Christians taking these models and putting them to incredibly powerful use. So here's the big aha moment. The early Christians didn't just invent their organization from scratch. Why would they? They adapted what was already there, what they already knew worked. The synagogue, the lighthouse, became the model for the ecclesia, the local church, the gathering place. And the Hevra, the flint, became the model for the missionary band, the sending structure. So what does all this mean? What's the big takeaway? Why does any of this history matter to us right here, right now?
Well, the scholar Ralph D. Winter really nailed it. He said the point here isn't that we need to go out and create perfect copies of first-century Jewish groups. No, what the New Testament is showing us is how to borrow effective patterns. He calls it dynamic equivalence, not formal replication. In other words, the goal is to understand the function of these two structures, the gathering one and the sending one, and then figure out how to apply those functions in our own world.
And that leaves us with one last big question to chew on. If the very first Christians, following Jesus' own example, clearly understood that you needed both the lighthouse and the flint, both the stable gathering structure and the mobile sending one, then why on earth would we think we could accomplish the same mission today with only one of them?